Welcome back, guys. Today, if you are a coach or somebody who does your own training and you're worried about getting the most effectiveness as possible out of your training, we're going to look at the idea of eliminating redundancy in our training, especially as it pertains to upper body pressing. So shoulders, chest, if you're having trouble growing those muscles or progressing strength in those muscle groups for yourself or for your clients, we're going to dig into how to make sure that we're getting the most that we can out of our training and we're not kind of just doing a lot of the same stuff and not getting the most benefit we can out of our training. So first we're looking at pushing, press training, right? Shoulders, chest. Let's break it up into a few categories. Horizontal pressing, vertical pressing, and then let's look more at like things that are more skill in nature. So think free weights and things that are more externally stabilized like machines, and even maybe isolation movements. So think lateral raises, pec flies, things that be more isolation in nature. So we start to categorize those things. We can make sure that we're not overly doing a lot of the same categories. So for example, a very common press day is going to be like we do a barbell bench press and then a dumbbell press, and then we go and we do a flat machine press and then a pec deck, and then we do, a dumbbell lateral raise or a depth push-up. And we can see how we basically just did like 5 horizontal presses, or we did a lot of stuff that's only kind of in this range of shoulder flexion. We're not getting a lot of variety that we could out of a press day. We're not getting overhead. We're not getting into shoulder extension. We're not even challenging the pecs per se from a flat position and an incline position, adding in a little bit of variability for whatever that's worth. So we'll start to kind of pull back and take a better look at our programming and make sure that we're just not being redundant with those categories. So again, the best thing I can recommend, categorize your push movements. Look at skill, look at more machine-based stuff, look at more isolation stuff, and let's make sure that we're not just doing a lot of the same thing. We're not doing 5 horizontal machines. We're not doing 5 vertical machines. We're not only pressing overhead. We're not only doing things that are going to be isolation in nature. Let's make sure that we have some variety in how we're choosing those things so that we're getting the most that we can out of our training. And you might ask, why is that important? Why can't I just do the same thing? Don't I want more volume? And it's like, if we can train that many sets on the same exercise, we probably aren't getting the most that we can out of our training, right? We're going to be lacking intensity by the time we get past, let's say 2 exercises that are the same. So we want to make sure we're maximizing the intensity that we can get through muscles or through patterns, and make sure that we're allowing for adequate recovery. So just because we can do something doesn't mean that we can recover from it and improve in the long run. So actually pulling back in volume might give us better recoverability, and we can keep training harder for longer and get strong in subsequent sessions. So keep that in mind. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up another example looking more at redundancies in a shoulder day or a more like a vertical press oriented day. So when we're looking at that right here, I'll put it up on the screen. What we'll see is we're starting out with 2 vertical shoulder presses, and they're both machines, right? So what we don't want to do is go in and again do the exact same thing twice, because then why would I not just rather do the one thing really well? We'd be getting more out of our time, we'd be getting more out of our efforts, and then we can add in or use that time to now train other things. So if I want to train my delts, for example, maybe I do a vertical machine press, and it's like now maybe I do a lateral raise because I have the opportunity to do that with more time. Or maybe on the same push day, I have time to do a horizontal press now too. I have time to do more things and get more out of my session. So I doubt that all that we want to do is grow our delts from a vertical pressing pattern. And even if that is the case, then we can probably still get away with doing, 2, 3, 4 sets of that maybe at most. And we don't really need to do more if our goal is to grow. So in general, again, let's take a step back. Let's look at our training and look where we can eliminate doing a lot of the same stuff. Categorize your training into those things I already talked about. So more free weights, more machines, more things that are isolation in nature. And let's just make sure at the least we're adding in some variability in how we hit things so that we're maximizing what we're getting out of our training. So we could get into looking at it from a length tension relationship standpoint, but I think the best thing we can do is categorize it as I mentioned. If we simply do that, we're going to get a lot further with our training, and we're making sure that we're not just getting exposed to the same thing over and over and over again. So one more angle I want to look at this from is from a shoulder function standpoint. So generally speaking, as a rule, I want to get into like deeper shoulder extension, and I want to get overhead on every pressing day. Why is that important? Well, I want to make sure I'm expressing the full range of motion and challenging full stability of muscles in those positions. So I want to make sure I'm getting upper rotation of my scap, getting overhead. I want to make sure I have the ability to get shoulder extension and get things like scapular depression, shoulder internal rotation. So as long as I'm touching that, it doesn't mean it needs to be like a functional exercise. It doesn't mean it needs to be remedial in nature. It could be a dip. It could be a machine overhead press. It could be a dumbbell overhead press. It could be a landmine press. It could be as simple as doing a overhead tricep extension, right? There's plenty of ways for us to touch this. Well, let's just make sure outside of not doing the same patterns from a hypertrophy standpoint, let's make sure that we're also not doing the same patterns from a function standpoint, that we're expressing our ability to get overhead and get our arm behind us. So hopefully that all makes sense. That wasn't too much rambling. If anything, take away from this video, take a look at your program, categorize exercises and make sure that we're not doing the same thing that can be done once, 2 or 3 times in the same session. If we can do it better one way, let's do it the one way. Let's add in some more variability so we can get more done in our session throughout our training week and progress faster. That's the goal, right? So if you like this video, as always, let me know what else you want to see. Like, subscribe, and I'll hear from you guys soon.